people, and welcome to my deep guide and another edition of Q&A. You asked the questions, I gather them as screenshots, read them from my little telephone device here, which is actually a camera, a screen, basically so many other things other than a telephone. But anyway, then I try to answer them to the best of my ability. So let's roll the questions. I have a nephew that is currently entering university in order to study engineering and has a bunch of PDF books and EPUB books that he will be using to both his university studies and his personal research. I'm getting quite a few mixed messages in regards to what exactly would be the best device to give him if he is to be making notes on PDFs and EPUB, particularly at this time where a lot of them seem to have color in the documents, but it's not essential that he sees them. From what I'm gathering from your videos, the best option would either be to get a Max and keep it to the old update for him to get, or for him to get the 4C. In this instance, that's why I made the video previously how to choose the ePaper device that's best fit for you and your needs. So please do check that video out, because I do have like a full-on guideline that goes through all of that so that you can find it and see it. Also, regarding the Note Max, should you update it to 4.1 or not, my advice would be to not update it at first and see how it works, so that you can see like if this satisfies the needs or not. If and only if the answer to that question is no, and then unequivocally you do need, or your nephew needs, something that update 4.1 does bring explicitly to the table, then get yourself really informed. Again, your nephew should get really informed about what the trade-off will be between 4.0 and 4.1, and then make an informed decision whether or not he makes that jump to 4.1 or not. Because there could be some of the features that 4.1 actually brings to the table that are irreplaceable and that he really wants. For example, vertical scrolling notebook page. That's a clear thing that could be a huge advancement for studying or for research papers, something that you have on 4.1 you don't have on 4.0. So that's an example of when it would be worth considering the negatives of the 4.1. So I'm just kind of trying to give you a practical example of how to approach something like this. Thanks for your channel and all the explanation. My question is a little specific. How can I tweak the EInk wise refresh settings so that I get something like the balance mode on an older EInk Center? I have just upgraded my Tab Ultra C Pro and am devastated, unfortunately. A quick explanation. I have a rare neurological disorder and must avoid all artificial light, computer and mobile screens, office lights, night driving, Christmas lights, etc. All artificial light flickers. Otherwise, I get severe migraine or even faint. I don't mind the sunlight since it doesn't flicker. So the books saved my professional life. I am a writer now and an organizer. The balance mode saved my life. The two modes that are available now are EInk Wise and Regal and Speed, both very bad for my migraines. I have listened to many videos and tried playing around with the settings, but nothing seems to work. I don't mind ghosting or poor image quality. Mostly I use Word, Gmail and net browsing, as long as nothing on the screen flickers like it was in the balanced mode. I don't know anyone that knows as much as you about books devices. Books help isn't very helpful, but I think they are sending me AI generated answers. They're kind, but for now, not very helpful. Thanks and keep up the good channel. First of all, I'm really sorry to hear that you are suffering from that type of disorder and type of affliction that affects the quality of your life and basically what you're able to do and what you can't do. That must be very tough. Thank you for sharing. The good news is that, okay, it worked. So it must be possible to do this. So at absolute worst, what you can do is you can sell your device and then buy a second-hand one that hasn't been updated to the 4.0, or buy an older one that came out before the 4.1, because those ship without the update itself. The second thing that I'm going to mention is that I am going to use this message and I'm not going to write to Books support, but I'm going to write directly to my Books contact. And I'm going to ask specifically for them to reach out and actually help you by allowing you to revert back to the OS that was good for you. And I'm also going to try and make yet another argument for them to allow us to revert back to the 4.0, because there are very, very real issues. And point number 3 is that now that I've read this comment, I am going to try, I have both Go 10.3, which is on 4.1, OS 4.1, and I have my Note Max, which is on 4.0. So I have both points of references, and I'm going to try and compare and see what the balanced mode was bringing to the table that the new speed mode isn't by default. And I'm going to play around with the settings and the speed camera as well to try and capture and see where the flickering is happening and what might be actually triggering your effects, and then kind of see if I can find some settings that may be actually good for you. Off the top of the head, I don't have them. I don't know what the settings are, but I can look into it, and it's something that I will do for sure. So thank you for reaching out. I'm going to be checking that out. Stick with the mydeepguide, and in one of the videos I will be addressing this. Most likely I'm going to be making it as a separate short video so that you don't have to hunt for it being an answer in Q&A or something like that, but it actually pops up as a video, and then you will find that setting, and I will reference this comment in this video as well. So again, thank you for reaching out and for sharing this. Thanks for the great review, Voya. How much better is this, this being the Dasung 13K Color, than the 24.3-inch paper-like Color? I really like the larger monitors. I work with a lot of spreadsheets, so big screen is very useful. I'm wondering if I should buy the 25.3-inch paper-like Color now, or wait for Dasung to come out with the 25.3-inch version of the 13K Color. Well, it's a lot better. It's very, very big difference. And the difference is particularly because both are color screen. The primary one is in resolution. You have to understand the technology that is being used for color displays of EInk or Kaleido displays. And that means it's at best halving the resolution of color content, and in some cases it's a third of the resolution. I don't remember exactly what the resolution of the 24.3 panel is, but I know that it's not 300 ppi. So that is a big point of consideration, and for me that was the biggest issue with the 25.3. Granted, you could zoom in, and then you will have, at some point you will find like a threshold where readability of the content becomes fine. So you need to find that to be okay. But if you're hoping to actually display small content clearly on a large panel, that's not going to happen with the Dasung 25.3 or indeed any 25.3 Kaleido panel, because it's low resolution and it's a Kaleido, and a Kaleido halves or thirds the color resolution on this plate. The second point is the clarity and the refresh, the smoothness, and the clarity is a lot better on the 13K. So overall, the cumulative difference between the 25.3 color and the 13K color, it's a really big difference. Whether or not you should wait, I don't know, because I don't really think that a 25.3 Kaleido panel that's going to be 300 ppi is necessarily going to happen, because EInk is the only company currently that's making these, and their incentive to actually do a full-on research, development, and production of these panels is going to be incredibly expensive. So there should be a really big demand for this, because a 13K panel, that's 13.3 inch, so that you can use in a much bigger variety of devices. 25.3, you're going down into a niche of a niche, and I'm simply not sure if that's going to happen at all at any point in the future. Not a word about the product or results in the description, not even a link to the black and white model review referred to. At least there was that "Does it work?" chapter, but for me that's a clear no. That's in relation to my Dasung 13K color review video, and lo and behold, after let me see how many videos. Let's see here. It says 699 published videos, but already there's more. So it's going to be over 700 videos by the time this comes out. And I've actually made a mistake on one of them where I didn't paste the entire description. But even there, in that video, the list of chapters was there. The timestamps were there. But that's not enough. That's enough for you to actually go and... Alright, dude, I mean, if that triggers you, I can't really help. The good news with the messy way to import Google Drive docs on Remarkable to the root is that it gets fixed in 3.26, currently in beta, where it is asking where you want to import the doc, and it offers to import first where you were before going to the integration folders. Oh my god, fantastic kind of stuff. Remarkable is actually starting to implement in segmented phases a basic functionality of importing and exporting documents to your device, as it should be, like a basic set of requirements for a feature to be considered good. It's ridiculous. And I'm not directing this to you at all. I think that it's all fine. The anger is in relation to how low, just like bottom of the barrel low development-wise standards we have been forced to, and then to consider like, oh my god, they are going to offer the ability not to import only into the root of your device. It blows my mind. It really does blow my mind, and it blows my anger whistle quite a bit, because it's only laziness. There is absolutely nothing else behind something like this other than laziness or incompetency. Nothing else. Dear Voya, is it possible to share screen from Remarkable devices to computer but via the web access, not via computer app? I cannot install anything on my work computer. I think that they have, I'll check that after recording this video, so I'll add a supplement here in the text. But from what I remember, I think that you should be able to do that via the Wi-Fi connection to your browser, and then you go to the IP address and then you have access to it. I think that it's not just a file sharing thing, that you may have the screen sharing option there as well, but I haven't checked it in a long time, so I'm gonna have to double check that again, and I'm just gonna post text here so that you have as a confirmation that it should be, but I think that it should be possible to do that via the web access IP kind of thing. I love the Remarkable, but there are so many niggling little things that should have been fixed by now. A good example is the sleep screen. This has now been addressed with the usual one step forward, one step back design philosophy. There are now graphic sleep screens, but only set images that are forced on the user. You would think that the fact that people are selling third-party programs to allow personalized sleep screens would embarrass the design team. First of all, I 100% agree with you, but as far as the embarrassed stuff, I don't really think that they are, because if they were embarrassed, they would have to kind of realize that this is not enough and this is not okay. And I think that in their mind, they're probably really proud of the work that they are doing. Mainly because I've seen it in many teams before, especially when you work as a consultant. That gives you like a very unique kind of opportunity to insert yourself, observe silently, analyze, because that's your job, and then extricate yourself without being a part of that thing. So you just come in as an observer and analyze the stuff. More often than not, you get completely blindsided by the internal perspective, where this is what we're doing, and then it's like, oh, we're so excited about this is so cool. Then you go day in, day out, and you do that, even though it blows my mind that this would be like a day in, day out kind of thing. I mean, this kind of thing you churn out in 8 hours. A single person can finish the development of this in 2 hours. It's unbelievable. But yeah, actually, no, I don't know. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely freaking ridiculous, to be honest. And yeah, it should be better. That, I think, is the whole bottom line here, is that it should be better. You're absolutely correct about the unnecessary frictions regarding Remarkable. I, for one, do not have the patience to use my Remarkable Paper Pro, and therefore it is collecting dust. That is unfortunate to hear, because I still maintain that Remarkable Paper Pro represents something really important and meaningful. I was hoping that it was also going to be impactful, but it wasn't, to a degree that its innovation and what it actually represents and what it did. Point of friction is a very real thing, and when you combine what the reality of working on a Remarkable Paper Pro, especially with the blinking and flickering and the speed of refresh and slowness and all that kind of stuff, that is a very, very significant point of friction on a day-to-day basis. But then you marry it to really fast and really good writing performance, and it's such an ambivalent mix that simply doesn't really mesh well. And I keep coming back to Quaderno A4, and this may be sounding weird, but please stick with me. Quaderno A4 is not a great device. It's terribly slow, terrible battery life, like really a lot of things bad, but it does have unbelievably close surface to screen distance of 0.14, I think, which makes you feel like you're writing directly on the surface of it. Feels like ePaper. It doesn't feel like a screen. And the writing feel was absolutely phenomenal. Now, there, using that device, you had points of friction, but they were consistent. You knew exactly what to expect and how to adjust your mental model for a consistent point of friction, because all was consistently slow. Everything you did on the Quaderno A4 was really slow. With a Remarkable Paper Pro, it's like some of the stuff is super smooth, buttery smooth, really fast, only for you to kind of like slam into this kind of hard thing of flipping a page. Because not only do you need to do 2 gestures, they still have this freaking idiotic thing of that you don't have an option of just a single swipe for a new page. But yes, you're writing, okay, flip again, then you flip and it goes blink, and then it's done for you to kind of go and then off the races to run again and have a very frictionless type of experience. For me personally, that inconsistency of friction that you kind of encounter in using a Remarkable Paper Pro or Paper Pro Move, that is the biggest issue. I would much rather have a slower device like Remarkable 2, but that is consistent, than what Remarkable Paper Pro offers due to, the compromises and limitations of the technology that it's using. So I think it's an interesting thing to kind of think about and analyze, because it's going to impact different people differently, but to me, it impacts me this way. 3.26 beta for Remarkable is out as well and is on my Paper Pro and Paper Pro Move. And then the sub question is, are betas safe enough to use them? The answer is, regardless of what anyone other will tell you in these comments, no, betas are not safe to use on a device that you are relying and using on a day-to-day basis. Why? Because they're in beta. That's it. End of discussion. As long as something is in beta, it is to be considered not safe for daily use and should not be ran on your daily driver. Can you attach the calendar to a Samsung or a Google Calendar? And this is a question for the Supernote. And yes, you can attach it and link it to a Google account and synchronize with the Google Calendar. And you can see the points here. This is synchronized to my own personal Google Calendar, and all of the events are there. And then I can just kind of mix and match, and I can add events, I can change them, and yeah, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, as for Samsung, I have no idea, but for Google, yeah, with the Google Calendar and your Google account, it works. And that's it for this edition of Q&A as well. And as always, please do remember, if you don't want to have your questions answered, the best way to do that, or the best chance to have it actually kind of picked up for the next session of Q&A, is to ask them down below in the Q&A comments down below, because that's the first place where I look when I gather questions for the next Q&A sessions. So ask away and I shall answer as best as I possibly can. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video. Bye!